Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. We are very happy to host you today for the introductory session on Zinnov Awards. So, Nupur and I will be your host, and we'll be walking you through the details of the Zinnov Awards for 2025, the process, and all of those details, right? So, at any point in time, you have any questions, kindly put it up on the chat box, and we will answer as many as we can. We will also have a dedicated time towards the end wherein we will also enable you folks to put on your audio and ask the questions, but that will be towards the end of the session, right? All right, so without further ado, now I would like to kickstart today's session. So this is the 16th edition of Zinnov Awards. And just to give you a view, right? So it will be a 1 hour informational session to give you a view on the timelines, the process, the categories, and some of the caveats that you would need to be aware of before you submit the nomination forms for the awards this year, right? So we will try to do our best to answer as many questions during the session. In case of any further clarification, we will be sharing the recording post the session, and also if you need to schedule a separate call to answer any specific queries you may have on the process or on the nomination forms, please feel free to write to us at awards@zinnov.com, right? This is our official ID for any queries related to awards, right? So let's get started with the process and the entire layout of how the event looks like for this year. So Zinnov Awards, it is an industry-wide flagship Zinnov event wherein we recognize organizations and leaders who have done exceptional work in influencing the vision and charter for the global organization. So there are no commercials involved for the participation for awards. This is our 16th year since inception of the awards, and we have come to become the most recognizable platform to recognize the work that a lot of GCCs in India are doing. GCCs, which is Global Capability Centers, are what we call part of the MNCs headquartered in India. These companies are headquartered outside India, but they have a R&D presence in India. In terms of the format, we are planning to drive awards in a hybrid model, from kickstarting the process to the jury deliberation until the awards night. It will be an in-person and virtual event format. Folks who are unable to attend the Zinnov Awards function in person can watch the live stream on YouTube or the Zinnov website post the ceremony. In addition to this, the next major change comes in terms of the categories like every year, right? So in addition to the categories that continues to exist, there are our stalwart categories like Great Place to Innovate, Unlocking Center Value, Technical Role Model. This year, we are introducing newer categories, recognizing companies that have successfully navigated disruptions, changed the vision and charter of global organizations, and driven innovation and leadership in the ever-evolving GCC ecosystem. I will be walking you through the details of the newer categories during the course of this session. So the structure of this session would be, firstly, I'll take you through the timelines for the process to what the categories are for this year, including the qualification criterias, and lastly, best practices to making your nomination the most effective and increase your chances of winning, making the cut. Any queries or questions during the course of the process up until the award ceremony, we have a handle called awards@zinnov.com, like I mentioned before, and we'll be happy to answer any queries or clarifications that may crop up even during the course of the process, right? So we'll be with you from today, kickstarting the process until the submissions, right? So any questions at any point comes up, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll be helping you on the same. Okay, so now coming to the timelines, we are officially rolling out the nomination forms on Wednesday, which is tomorrow, 19th of March. They will be available at the Zinnov website. The landing page is called awards.zinnov.com/2025. We'll be putting that link up in the chat box as well as give you like a view of it towards the end of the session. And we'll show you where you can download the handbook and as well as the nomination forms, which will be reflected tomorrow onwards. In case you're unable to download it, we can also share it virtually via email. You can let us know by writing to us again at awards@zinnov.com. Once you have downloaded the nomination forms at your end, you can go through the categories that we have, the qualification criteria, the level of detail, the kind of questions and data that we expect you to submit, and then you can give us an expression of interest, right? So what the confirmation of participation essentially means is you have confirmed that you will be participating in some of the categories and what those categories are. So by March 26th, you need to let us know which of these categories are you most interested in and confirm your participation for awards. This accordingly helps us sort of build out the process, right, and plan for the jury deliberations at the back end. And so we also start gating these processes at our end. The last day to submit the filled out nomination form is 27th of April. The forms that are submitted before the date, the Zinnov team may sort of vet it and give you a feedback on whether there is any action items you need to take to make it a stronger nomination form. We'll do like a quick review. If you can send the form a couple of days before the submission deadlines. But if we believe that a nomination form is good to go, we will also confirm that to you and it will be considered further for the jury deliberation. Please note that the deadline to submit the forms is sacrosanct, like every year. Just because of the volume of nominations, we are expected to roll out this year, right? And every year we see that volume going higher up, right? So there is a high probability if the forms are not submitted on time and it's post the deadline, it may or may not be able to make the cut to the jury deliberation. Now, so what happens after you have submitted the forms to us? At our end, we collect all the forms that come in for the categories, and then we start what we call as the vetting and the masking process. So we do need some time between, you submit the form and the jury process getting started, right? So a vetting process essentially addresses like, the basic quality of the nomination form itself, any incomplete form, any forms that we believe are going to be insufficient data to the jury are automatically eliminated. Plus, we also take up additional process called masking, which essentially looks at maintaining the confidentiality of the data that companies have submitted to us. So we need that time to go through these processes, right? So again, like I mentioned, the dates are sacrosanct and please adhere to the timelines and that will be really helpful for us as well. Next comes the jury deliberation process between May 4th to 22nd of May, wherein we have experts and leaders from the industry come in and go through the nomination forms. There is a scoring process and there is also a deliberation process to finalize the winners. Additionally, this year, we have also included a mandatory virtual pitch for shortlisted companies who make it to the jury round. All winner communications will be done starting June 1st. Post that is when we start looking at the production and the post-production for the award ceremony itself, right? In terms of printing out the collaterals, trophies, certificates, content submissions by the winners for the award ceremony, and those are paramount. Finally, we have the awards night, which culminates on 17th of July this year. It will be an in-person event with winners and select set of leaders. We will also be streaming it live on YouTube and other platforms for folks to join us virtually. We will be sharing the details of the session closer to the date, so you can accordingly plan your meetings and travels. So this was on the timelines. Now coming to the categories. So this year we have about 10 categories, 8 are organization-wide categories and 2 are individual categories. For both organization-wide and individual categories, there is an upper limit of being able to submit a maximum of 3 nominations for org-wide, and for individual categories, there is an upper limit of 20 folks per individual categories from one organization, right? So again, 10 categories, 2 individual, 8 org-wide. For org-wide categories, you can maximum nominate up to 3 categories. And for individual, you can maximum nominate 20 folks per category from one organization. All right. Coming to the categories, champions. The first one is champions of unlocking center value. So any large-scale transformation the organizations has undertaken from India side and are able to generate an impact as a result, right? So the matrices that the organizations will be assessed are all on includes the type of transformation, the drivers, the key milestones, the key outcomes achieved. So there are three subcategories under Champions of Unlocking Center Value this year. The Enterprise IT, ER&D function, which is engineering or research and development, and GBS, which is Global Business Services. There'll be three separate forms for each of the subcategories. So under this, you get to choose the subcategories which is most relevant to you, right? So just one caveat here, under this unlocking center value, there are three subcategories. Although you can go ahead and send you can either nominate for all three or either one or two, right? We will still consider this as one nomination from this category. Given they have subcategories, we will not consider those as like multiple nominations. We will consider that as one. So please feel free to go ahead and, nominate yourself for all the, like either all or two or one, right? It's up to you, but we will consider only one for that. The second one and our flagship category is Great Place to Innovate. It tends to look at the culture and value the India side has been able to create for the global organization as a result of any processes or mechanisms that's been created from a culture, charter, program perspective, as well as how you're collaborating internally as well as with the ecosystem. The third one is a new one this year, which is Excellence in Talent Development and Employee Engagement. This is again an organization-wide category that recognizes those India centers that excel in fostering a high-performance work culture through their strategic talent development and employee engagement by leveraging modern learning platforms such as AI-driven training, inclusive practices to driving leadership development, enhancing retention, and creating a meaningful business impact. The fourth category, another new addition, which is the high impact global roles. This is an org-wide category again that celebrates those GCCs that have successfully scaled global leadership roles from India by driving strategic decision-making, business growth, and innovation through strong leadership pipelines and cross-functional influence. The fifth category here is excellence in customer centricity. This is the org-wide award and recognizes those India centers that have built operational ability and organizational capabilities to successfully create a customer-centric culture internally and created a positive customer experience externally. This category will only be for the centers that cater to external customers and not meant for centers that cater to the HQ global locations internally. The companies will be gauged by the quality of matrices, the processes, KPIs in place. The next category is called Excellence in Employer Branding. This category is for organizations who have successfully created a brand name in the talent market and are considered employers of choice. The assessment criteria will gauge the efficacies of organizations across various parameters, including the company's values, the vision, the culture, the installed potential talent, as well as the employee value proposition. The seventh organization-wide category is Atmanirbhar GCC Award. This is essentially aimed at organizations that have been able to innovate and develop products and solutions in India for Indian as well as global markets in the last 2 years. The products and solutions can be hardware or software, but should have gone through all the stages, including designing, development, manufacturing, deployment, either completely or partially across, the stages from India. The last category under organization-wide is Global Capability Champion. This is a unique category this year that we have included, right? Wherein the winner will be selected based on Zinnov's internal evaluation and industry insights. There is no nomination form for this particular category. This category essentially will be reflecting the highest level of recognition within the GCC ecosystem. This company-wide award an honors GCCs that have achieved extraordinary scale, strategic impact. They have achieved operational excellence from India, driving complex, high-value global functions, and established themselves as the true hubs of innovation, talent, and capability. So this will be based on Zinnov's evaluation, and there will be no nomination forms for these. Coming to the individual categories, the first one is our technical role model. This category essentially assesses the kind of impact an individual have been able to create, such as technical products, IT creations, number of products, etc., and have been created a massive impact in the organization. We have three subcategories under this, which is established, AI, BDA, and the intelligent automation. We have three set forms for each of the subcategories here. Last one here is next generation women leader. This is under the individual category again. And this category not only looks at the tech impact, but also leadership as well as the business impact that the leader have been able to create in the India GCC. So just the difference basically is the technical role model looks only at the tech impact, while next generation women leader looks at the holistic and comprehensive impact that they have had in the India Center. Just to reiterate, this year for the individual categories, we have an upper limit of 20 folks per category. And for the org-wide categories, it's 3 maximum out of the 8 categories that we have. And this does not include the subcategories like I had mentioned earlier. So this year, we would also be classifying the companies under emerging and established, and the winners will be accordingly announced. The emergings are GCCs with tenure up to 5 years in India, and established are GCCs with tenure over 5 years in India. You can also, another caveat is you can share data for the last 3 years only, and the last 2 years winner cannot participate in the same category that they have won the last 2 years, right? Which is the year 2023 and 2024. And the data that will be valid for submission this year would be of the last 3 years, starting from 2022. Okay, so coming to the process. So once you start basically sending us the forms, right? So we sort of create dockets for every category and start vetting the forms that are good to go to the jury. In case the nomination forms are incomplete or certain matrices or data points provided are critical for jurors to take a call, right? We will eliminate the forms from the docket by default. It is extremely important that you give us the complete and detailed forms. For any clarification on the level of details that you may be able to provide, you can reach out to the team, and we will also guide you on what builds a good nomination and give you a feedback on that to build a stronger nomination. The nomination forms that do not make the cut go to the deliberation docket. The nomination forms that do make the cut go to the deliberation docket. One of the things that happens if you submit the nomination forms before 27th of April is we give you a feedback on the form in case it needs any modification needed to build a stronger form. So you will be given 2 days time to come back with us to the revised forms. And once you have submitted the revised one, that will be considered the final one. In case you are unable to, we will consider the first one as the final one. Between May 4 to May 22nd, as mentioned earlier, we have the jury deliberation. So we need all the forms from your end by 27th of April, because post that we will again have our own vetting and masking process, and that is when we can go ahead with the jury deliberation. So typically each category has its individual deliberation process. What we also do is break up certain categories. Let's say we have the UCV, which is the unlocking center value, wherein we have 3 subcategories: IT, ER&D, and GBS, right? So for all those categories under ER&D and IT, we might have the same set of jurors, but for the GBS, we will have a completely different set of jurors. So we make exceptions for the number of jury deliberations basis that. But all categories have their own jury deliberation, and there are multiple jurors who will be joining us in person to do these deliberations. And once they have done the scoring individually and independently, they come together to reassess and arrive at the final winner list. This year, the jury deliberation will be based on a thorough evaluation of the nomination forms, culminating in a virtual pitch for all shortlisted forms that make it to the jury round. So the virtual pitch will be about 5 minutes, 3 minutes of pitch time, followed by 2 minutes of Q&A by the jury. The winners will be gauged based on the weighted average of the form and the pitch. We will ask you for the point of contact who will represent the organization for this virtual pitch. However, the pitches have to be made by a center head -1 or -2. And while you are on the call, we would request you not to reveal the name of your organization or your name to maintain the confidentiality, which we might lead to a negative scoring, right, in case of biases. But again, like I said, the virtual pitch will only be done for the shortlisted ones, not for everyone participating in the awards, right? So the final forms that goes to the jury round is where we will have the virtual pitch for each of the shortlisted forms. Once the winners are chosen by the jury, we will wait until all the jury deliberations for all the categories are over. The winner communications will be rolled out post that. The communication goes out to all participants from 1st June onwards. However, it will not be communicated at an industry level. The results are not to be shared forward until the final Zinnov Awards night, which is scheduled for 17th of July. Okay, so this was on the process. Now coming to how do you go about building a strong nomination form, right? So best practices that we have seen over 16 years of running this particular award, right? So it always helps to be detailed as possible. Usually we have seen that GCC struggle with the legality, whether they can provide the information, but the reason we have made the process so sacrosanct and so hinging on confidentiality is that the companies are able to do this freely, right? So we do have NDAs in place. So, and we are also, we'll be happy to, take in the NDAs that you have in place, and, we can go through this, the process legally as well, right? And with that knowledge, none of this information will be shared going forward, right? The other thing we recommend is the nomination form should be as complete as possible. You can send us 3-4 really strong supporting documents, but the form is really what the jurors take into consideration, right? So it is fairly obvious in case we may have let an incomplete nomination form go to the jury. If the jurors believe that a certain section is not satisfactory, they cannot use a baseline for scoring. They will automatically eliminate it, right? So focus on the forms. You can send us the supporting documents, which is always helpful. But given the time that the jurors have, right, to go through each of the forms, they always focus more on the forms. And then they go to the documents, right, the supporting documents that you send us. So as a practice, make sure the form is filled completely. Again, it always helps if the organization is looking at multiple categories to have multiple stakeholders share the load, right, and fill up the categories that are relevant to them. While the Zinnov team will interact and program manage the communications with the one POC from a particular organization, it will help at your end if that POC can help mobilize the nomination forms internally with multiple stakeholders, because we do believe that, it also expedites the process, and level of detailing that comes is a lot more effective. The one thing that every single juror looks out without question is what was the role by the India Center played, right? So for example, in Atmanirbhar Award, the jury will immediately be able to check the impact generated by the India Center. So across all categories, the questions are also made as such that the impact of the India Center and the outcomes that's been generated accounts for the maximum weight in case of the scoring as well, right? Finally, you need to submit us the form by April 27th. After the deadline, again, we may or may not consider the nomination forms. So it's imperative that you send us the nomination forms on or before the time. If you share it before, it also gives us time to vet it at our end and give you a feedback accordingly and make your nomination stronger. So please do share the nominations forms on or before April 22nd. Only again, reiterating this, right? So if you submit the forms on time, it also gives us, the team, the time to vet it and down, right? And in case you want a feedback, we will definitely be happy to help you with that if you send us the forms before, right? So this is what we had on the Zinnov Awards on the handbook. We are open to take up questions at this point.
We also
Yeah.
have one more question from Sujit Subramaniam in the
Okay.
question and answer chat box. He's asking if we have won in a category in year 2023, can we apply in the same category this year?
If you have, thank you, Saima. Hi. So yes, you can. If you have not won in the category, then you can definitely apply in the same category. Only if you have won in certain categories in the last 2 years, those particular categories you won't be able to nominate yourself for this year. But if you have just participated and not won it, then you can definitely go ahead and participate this year for that category. I have another question that I can see Ganesh from Ganesh. If we submit the nomination forms by April 20th, whether you guys, yes. So you can send us the org-wide categories and the individual categories so we can give you a feedback on both.
I think we have one more question in terms of in case you miss on the categories confirmation deadline. So the idea is just to get a confirmation from your end in terms of what are the categories you want to participate. Later, before submitting the forms, you feel that these are not the categories you want to participate and you want to change, you can go ahead and do that. There won't be any concern regarding that.
This is just for us to, keep track of, the categories and the participations. But like Nupur mentioned, you can also change if you want to change your mind and, do another category, you can go ahead and do that. Just the final forms is what we'll be considering at the end.
And yes, if you have won in one of the subcategories of the awards, you can nominate in the other subcategories as well. So for example, under the Unlocking Champions Value, if you have won in the ER&D and you want to participate in the IT or the other subcategory, then you can nominate, you can fill the form and share the form with us.
I think Aditya has a question on how do you source the necessary info for GCC champions category, right? So Aditya, for this, essentially, it will be done through Zinnov's internal committee, and we will also take into consideration the industry insights. We will be basically evaluating the organizations and seeing how their growth curve has been, what and all they have done over the last few years, right? And accordingly, we will come up with the winner. So we will basically be seeing their journey over the years. I have a question from Uday, which is, can you please provide a view sample on what is the format or nomination forms that you mentioned? So Uday, we will be going live with the nomination forms tomorrow in the Zinnov website. Just before ending the call, I will quickly take you through the website as well. So that is where you will find the nomination forms live from tomorrow onwards. So you can download it accordingly. The org wides are majorly in the Excel format, and the individuals are in the Word format. In case you have any questions on that, we can set up a schedule a set call to walk you through the forms. Dikshita, the nomination forms are not yet available. It will be available from tomorrow onwards.
And also, so just reiterating in terms of the participation in the categories. So from an organization categories, you can participate in maximum 3 categories. And for individual, each individual category, you can nominate up to 20 leaders.
If you want, probably you
I'll
can
also
just
be sharing this handbook and the website details with all of y'all.
Yes,
Yes.
we will. Yeah. So we will just quickly, Nupur can take you through the website, share the link, and that is where the nomination forms and the handbook will be available. In case you're not able to download the forms or the handbook for any reason, you can also write to awards@zinnov.com. We will send it to you over email as well. Ananya, I thank you for if a colleague has won in the individual category in the last year, they can't apply this year, correct? Yes. So if the individual have won in the category in the last 2 years, they won't be able to participate in the same category again for this year.
We have also one more question from Ganesh Balaji.
Yeah, if we are a winner for 2023 for unlocking center value based on enterprise IT, then are we allowed to participate for the same category with focus on the other two subcategories? Yes, you can.
We have
You can participate in the other two subcategories.
We also have another question from Som Sekhar.
If an individual category, one leader has won in a category, and this time same person happens to be a leader for some other section in the individual. See, we basically it's the individual that we take into consideration, not if he has changed the roles, but his journey overall will be similar, so that he won't be able to participate in that same category. But yeah, another one he can definitely, in case he has won, she or she has won for like the TR technical role model, uh, they can probably participate in the next gen one if that they haven't won. Yeah, Nupur, over to you. So this is the website essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a website. We will share the link with you in the comment section so that you all can access it. And also post the call, we will share a mail where we will tell you when the forms are also live and along with the website link as well. So this is a website that we have. You have all the details regarding the awards that we spoke about. What are the new categories that we have come up this year? Then we have the timelines for the awards and followed by what are the all categories, the organization wide categories and the individual categories as well. And for all those who are asking for the presentation, you can just simply go to the website and click on download Zinnov Awards Handbook. So you can just simply get the whole presentation from here. And soon, once we go live with the forms tomorrow, there will be another option here just below this option of Awards Handbook where you can download all the forms. And like Jupiter mentioned, in case you're not able to download the forms, you can just simply reach out to us or you can write to awards@zinnov.com and we will be happy to help you with the forms as well.
I hope we were able to help you with the questions and take you through the details so far. But this is not the end. This is just the starting of the journey. So anytime, any questions, any call that you want, we'll be available. Please feel free to write into us, and we can schedule a separate call to walk you through the handbook if needed, or the nomination forms and how to go about filling those, right? So we will be supporting you throughout the journey until the Zinnov Award ceremony essentially. Yeah, so one second. I hope the link is also working. If not, then try opening it on Google Chrome and refreshing the page. Hopefully it should work.
And also, in case you're not able to access it, then you can try to clear your cache as well, and then you can try reloading it again.
We will also be sending out the recordings for all of you, whoever has participated in the session today. So you can also circulate this internally. In case of any questions, you can go through the recording, and the handbook will be there on the website along with the nomination form. So please feel free to access those. And if you're not able to, write into us, and then we will send it to you individually over email. In case you have any questions, we still have some time. We'll be happy to take those up. If, yeah, maybe we can just be here for 5 more minutes, and in case there's nothing else, then we can close this discussion. But yeah, like we said, we'll be in touch, and we are looking forward to nominations every year. It keeps on increasing the volume. So we are also expecting that this year also we will have a good number of nominations from everyone. Yeah, Somsekhar, I think you had mentioned that, instead of going by a Word doc with lengthy write-ups, you wanted to see it in a more objective way. So we also advise like folks for the individual categories and even for the org-wide categories, right? Not to have too many information, but to keep it articulated well and keep it crisp. So even for the jurors to read the form, it should not be like an essay, but they get the point, right? So you can accordingly draft the answers. We also don't recommend going too lengthy in terms of the write-ups, but yeah, it should reflect the work that you are doing and the India Center has been doing, and that is I think in terms of making your form stronger, that really helps. Okay, I think we have yeah, so I think this was a great session. I hope it was informative for all of you. In case we were not able to take up some of your questions today, or if you need further clarity on any of the forms, the processes, the timelines at a later stage, right? We'll be happy to schedule a call to support you throughout the process. Nupur and I will be there helping you through this journey. And, we'll also be sharing the recording like we mentioned. Please write to us at awards@zinnov.com. We can also share you our number. So in case there's anything that pops up later, just feel free to give us a call or write to us. And yeah, we look forward to your participation and have a lovely rest of the week. Somsekhar, just before cutting, right? Right now we are not able to show you any sample forms at this point. But tomorrow, after the forms are online, you can definitely reach out to us, write into us, and we can help. We'll be happy to take you through the form. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you everyone for attending the session.